deeply appreciate your coming and listening to my presentation, something that's obsessed me for the last 2 years or so. So this is what I've done in the last 2 years. So the title is Teaching Intro Chem in a De-Massified Society, a Radical and Relentless Innovation in Pedagogy. This is the plaque I got for 25 years of service here, and this kind of symbolizes what I'm trying to do. Intro Chem 1111 is really a gateway course, and it's been unruly, and I've been trying to be the course whisperer for this course. And it's a gateway to all sorts of STEM disciplines, chemistry, biology, physics, pharmacy, medicine, veterinary medicine, optometry, engineering, and I have a few students from business and all sorts of places. And this course has national standards. Anywhere you go, they teach Intro Chem, and they always do the same thing. And nationally, it has a 35% failure rate, and when I talked to one of my older colleagues, they said 35%, that's always been there. Even in the 60s, it's always been 35% failure rate. I said, oh wow, we haven't changed a lot. So my, obviously now, if we want to increase our STEM population, recruitment and retention into this course is the key to the whole thing. Okay? So if you look at this course, it was designed during a mass higher education era. Okay? People poured into the cities because that's where the industries were. Everybody did the same thing. They had 2 or 3 radio stations, 1 or 2 television stations, if any. In my village, we didn't have any. But they all walked in step. Nobody asked questions. Individuality was not important. Massification is the base of the society. And we had these huge classrooms that we filled up, and we stood up there and lectured. And sometimes I still have to do that. But then the internet came, and everything broke loose. People started wandering around in all different directions. Everybody, now there are literally thousands of radio stations, thousands of television stations, and I call this society an ADD society. Our students are always trying to do 10 different things at the same time, and things are going to change dramatically. World-class university ratings are going to change. There's globalization, borderless competition, economic crisis, and now we have to teach. This is my new classroom, where we sit around the table and solve problems, and I call this De-Massified society. So that's where we are. And in this De-Massified society, how do you survive in this society? And one of my students always tells me, we shouldn't survive, we should thrive. How do we thrive in this society? And this is my college buddy, Jerry Tellis, who's a marketing guru at University of Southern California, written a few books on that. And this is the writing on the wall. Radical innovation is crucial to growth of firms and economies. It merges some markets, creates new ones, and destroys old ones. It can propel small outsiders like us into position of industry leadership and can bring down large incumbents that fail to innovate. Essentially, he's saying innovate or die. And recently, George sent me this article in Wall Street Journal. Colleges are already doing that in chemistry. Colleges retool study of chemistry, and I found this to be very interesting. Chemists are not known as most flexible people, but we really got to change because academia is changing. So in this era, with this writing on the wall, what have I been doing? And this is what we did last year. We wrote a proposal to develop UM St. Louis as a center for introductory chemistry. It was done with some of our colleagues in the department, and then Kathleen with ACP, and Mary Fowler, who's the IT person. But these are not the only people that are involved in making this happen. And it literally takes a village to teach Intro Chem now. And Chris Spelling has been very generous. He's given me the TAs I needed. I mean, when we change, it's not easy. Things are very chaotic, and he's been very kind to me. And my chemistry TAs, without them, I couldn't have done this. David has been helping me with retention. Teresa and Beth have been helping me with all the administrative stuff. Michael Cunningham at the Online Testing Center helping me give students what they need, and in the Faculty Resource Center. And now I met Andy Goodman, and we have a lot of collaborative ideas on how to do this. And Marcel, who showed me how to do the videos. I'm actually videotaping this lecture in case you want to see it later. But our school is not the only collaborator we need. We need to partner with industries. McGraw-Hill and Alex, they've been showing me how to come up with new ways of doing things. Dave Spurgeon at McGraw-Hill with a Om tattoo on his wrist. And I told him, what's the Om tattoo about? He said, oh, in the college days, we did some crazy stuff. So he's my kind of guy. Okay, so, and then Dana, who's here from McGraw-Hill, and Jennifer, we've been working, that's the St. Louis team. And then we have the Alex team, Christopher Grace, who's a PhD in physical chemistry, who's been doing the chemistry part of this, and Eric Gates, who showed me how to do all this stuff. So I'm really grateful to all these people for helping me with what I need to do. And my proposal had 4 different goals. One was to develop a pedagogic system. I mean, you can only market as good as your product is. So I had to come up with a good pedagogic system that would work. And I'm glad to say that this system has surpassed any expectations I've had. I mean, it's totally amazing. And I've used this system to retain some students. That would be our radical innovations. But we can't just sit there and say, okay, I've done all my innovations, I'll go home and I don't drink beer anymore, I used to. Okay, have a beer. We have to be relentless in our innovation. How can we use this system to recruit new students? How can we use this system to enhance our ACP offering? That's the question that I'm going to talk about. And my goal, my personal goal, is to double our enrollment in about 5 years. So we have about 225 students to 250 students. I want to go up to about 500 students in 5 years. Can we do that? That's the question. Okay, so how does this work? Okay, so this is my pedagogic system, and this is what I had proposed. The first step was Alex. Alex is a homeschooling product. People have used it so that students can learn chemistry. And that's very important because people come from all over the map. For them to come to a place where I can teach them, they need some background. And Alex does that. Alex does that individually in a customized way. And it's like a boot camp. You go there and you have to do work. And students, actually they tell me, I love Alex. All right. And now this is what I proposed, and this is what I've actually done. So each chapter has a whole bunch of cycles, and after you finish the chapter, you go into the next one. So I have, this is my gateway screenshot. So it's got 13 chapters that we cover in a book, and then there are quizzes and exams.
You have to do every chapter before to get to the next one?
It's best to do that, but they don't have to. Chemistry always builds on each other, so. Okay, so I picked chapter 3 because chapter 3 is where a lot of the chemistry begins. And each chapter has 6 items on my gateway. So I'll go through each of these and sort of explain how these things work. The first one here is the question pool. So the whole pedagogic system is based on problem-solving approach. If you can solve the problem, you know the concept, you're good to go. And so I give them a set of questions up front. And all these questions are end of chapter problems. That's important because Alex is a single concept program. They only drill you in single concept. And end of chapter are multi-concept problems. So they need to be able to bring in a lot of different concepts and see if they can solve this problem. And since this was not very clear, I expanded this. This is what it looks like. So 61, question 61 would be 130B at the end of chapter, and that deals with empirical formula. So this is their goal. In this chapter, you have to master these questions, and at the end of it, you'll get these questions in the exam, and if you can answer them, you're ready to go. So the next thing they do, they don't have to do it in this order. They can do it in any order. I have a smart book assignment. Smart book is simply an e-book with important parts highlighted. When authors write the books, they don't really write it for students. They write it for their colleagues and just to look good. But for students, economy of student time is very important to me. So this one really helps. It highlights all the important parts of the chapter, and then that way they can go through the chapter fairly quickly. Next thing that I have for them is my lectures, video lectures from a previous chapter. So these are in a YouTube format. You can watch them on your iPhone, iPad. I tell my students, as you're driving, if you really want to watch a video, just watch my video so that when you go to the pearly gate, my face will be the face you'll see. All right, so that, I have to joke with them. And so it's an hour lecture. So in most of the chapters have two 1-hour lectures from previous time. So at this point, they have hopefully covered most of the concepts they need to solve problems. The next thing they do is to try to solve problems. Now I assign all the problems from the question pool into a Connect program by McGraw-Hill. So what Connect does is it brings up the problem and it presents it to them, and they have all these options. I tell my students, don't waste 24 hours or 48 hours trying one problem. Try about 5 minutes, 10 minutes. After that, see how they've done it. Show me. Okay, as soon as they click show me, the complete solution to that problem comes up, and so they can go through every problem in this set and then know how to solve the problems. In the process, they learn the concepts, they really learn chemistry. Once that's done, hopefully they've learned enough chemistry now to check how they've done. So they have homework. Homework is the same problems, but one question from each category. So these boxes represent a different category. So the computer brings up one question from each category, different question each time they try it, and this is set up exactly like how the quizzes are set up. Quizzes, exams are set up exactly like this. Each time they go in, they get a different question, and they should be able to answer these questions. So they can go back and forth from homework to question pool, try to master these problems, and then comes the real big one, quizzes and exams. So the way I've set up quizzes is they have practice quizzes without any password. They can try them at home as many times as they want. And then when they come to school, they need to take a quiz during the recitation section or the online testing center. They can go and take the quizzes at online testing center. So every week they have a quiz. For every chapter there's a quiz, and they can have unlimited tries. That's the most amazing thing for me, unlimited tries. They keep trying over and over again, and they learn more and more chemistry. So that's how it works. And exams is the same thing. Practice exams, they can try them as many times as they want. I've seen people try exams like 10, 15 times, and they've learned more chemistry. They're really good at it now. And RST exams, when they come to school, they can take the exam here or at the online, at the online testing center. So every 3 chapters, there's an exam and so on. So that's innovation. That's the setup. So the idea is, I don't know, we have this old saying in the village, right? If the Prophet Muhammad can't go to the mountain has to come to Prophet Muhammad. In the same way, if students can't come to class and be here at the time, I'm going to take chemistry to them wherever they are, at any time they want. They normally start studying at midnight. That's how it goes. Okay? And I have some really nice stories about how students study. It's fascinating. So that's the pedagogic system. Does it work? Let's see if it works. One of the things we wanted to do early on was to retain students using this system. And so what we've done is when the students come, they are gung-ho. They said, I can master chemistry. I'm good at chemistry. I've done all this in high school. I said, yeah, sure, let's do it. So they go through the first chapters. Exam 1 is when they realize, no, they're not going to handle it. They've taken just way too much stuff. So we allow them to parachute down, and we give them 2 semesters to complete the same thing. In semester 1, it's, we call it Chem 1081. They do exam 1 and 2 with 6 chapters. In semester 2, we call it Chem 1091, and chapters 7 through 13, and then they have lab and the ACS final at the end of the second semester. These are flipped classrooms. That means I don't go and lecture them. I mentor them. I talk to them. I'm saying, okay, all this is available to you. What's wrong? Why aren't you studying? And they have problems like, oh, I don't have a calculator. Okay, here's my calculator. Use it. Oh, my computer's broken. I'm a good person to fix your computer. I'll do it. You know, whatever they need. And sometimes they're really, you know, emotionally troubled and they have trouble at home. Then they say, go and take care of things. And when you come back, you continue with that. Okay. So now they have more time. They have someone to show the ropes, someone to show them some kindness, and they seem to do pretty well here. Okay. And there was one more thing I wanted to say. I'll probably come back to it later. So we've used this for retain, and David was with me when I first started, and that's been going pretty well there. Yeah. And now the results, right? Do we have radical results? It's a little too early to tell. But you know, at the end of the semester, I use a standardized exam. In Chem 11 last fall was the first time that I had all the pieces together. Everything fell into place after about 2 years last semester. And this is what we got. We in a standardized exam, the percentile ranking went from 45 to 60. I'm sure most of you, Ms. Hal would especially would say, well, if you take the bottom off, I mean, the top is going to raise the percentile, and that is true. We've taken out a lot of the people, they parachuted down, and then the remaining people will definitely get a higher percentile. But what's more interesting is this. The top national ranking in top 5 people, students in our standardized, 99, 99, 98, 90. I haven't seen this high. I mean, there might be 1 or 2 people with 90s, but this is very encouraging to me. That means it's telling me that this system really helps students who want to learn. Okay, there's no stopping it. We can learn. And then, you know, this semester, 35 out of 105 people opted to parachute down. They opted to take two semesters. When they take 2 semesters, they learn a lot more chemistry. They're sitting there. I make them come. Attendance is absolutely mandatory. They sit there. I have a TA, you know, looking after them. They get a laptop to work on. Whatever they want, they get it. And they spend a lot of time studying chemistry. And obviously, hopefully, this is good for them. So now, the next is relentless renovation. We can't just sit down there and say, okay, we've done it, let's go home. Okay? We have to be relentless in our innovations. And I'm proposing that we should offer a course, Chem 11M, Introductory Chemistry 1, in a modular format. It's for 1 to 5 hours. And the way we would like to divide it up is to take 11M first credit for the first exam, the second credit for the second exam, third credit for the third exam, fourth credit for the fourth exam, and then the lab for the 5th credit. And that must be done on our campus. I mean, here's amazing labs that are just being built for these new students to come in, and labs are always a draw because, you know, students don't show up for lectures, they don't show up for quizzes, but they show up for the lab. They love labs. Oh, I'm doing great in the lab. You know, chemistry after all, right? And so my intention is that if we get them here and show them the lab, have some good experiments, that would be a good recruiting tool for us. We'd be able to recruit more students. And so how do you use this modular format to get more students, to recruit more students? So that's where I'd like to go with ACP offerings. Right now we have ACP dual enrollment. That means students can get credit at their institution, at their high school, and at UMSL. The teachers must have a master's degree. And right now we have to offer it the way our catalog offers it. That means Chem 11 is a 5 credit hour course. We have to offer 5 credit hours or nothing. They can't just break it up. And you know, there's a lab involved, and not very many high schools can afford to have a lab. I've talked to high school teachers; they can't get pencils. They say, "How can I get a lab?" So, and it's not mainly a recruiting tool. Most people who take ACP, I don't think they want to come to UMSL. They probably go somewhere else. What I want to do is change that and use 11M as a recruiting tool. So they'll be able to offer 1 or 2 credit hours. 2 credit hours of Chem 11M for 6 chapters If they cover the same amount of stuff, they'll be able to offer that. So a lot most schools that don't have labs, that don't have a fantastic support system, can still offer 1 or 2 credit hours of ACP. And then what happens after they take 2 credit hours? I mean, it's a national course, it's 5 credit hours, so they'll have to come to AMSL to finish their course. That's my thing. And we can draw them here, we can show them our new labs, and attract them to come to our schools. With our fabulous new labs, being Byrd, we will be able to recruit more students. That's my intention there. And then we also should, develop new experiments, make it more exciting. I mean, the labs we work in are not very exciting right now. But the new labs will be. We'll have a new set of experiments, and I have this whole thing in my head on how this is going to work. And, partly computer-based, and then come back and do the real stuff in the lab. And what do I want to do? I want to hook up with Kathleen and visit all the schools, meet with these teachers and say, okay, you're teaching this course. How about letting your students enroll on an ACP program? Okay, and if they have master's degree, if they don't have master's degree, we can't do that. And sell them my pedagogic system. Here it works. I mean, everything is online. You can simply go and use it whatever way you want, and make life easier for them. I mean, they don't want to be struggling all the time. And synchronize our pedagogy. I mean, you can teach umpteen different topics. Why not pick the topics that we teach, and so that we can have some kind of synchronicity with that. So that would be my role. But what I really am interested in is ACP single enrollment. That's my vision. Okay. So what we do is we set up Chem 1111 at AMSL using my gateway, just like I've done it. Students enroll at AMSL with me as the instructor of record. That means we don't have to have a teacher with a high master's degree. And students will be able to enroll in 1 credit hour, 2 credit hours, or whatever. And then, once again, they come to our school to finish the complete course, and then we'll hook them in with our lab, and we'll recruit them. That's the whole point. And what's going to be my role? I want to go out there and meet with teachers and see if there are any students. We don't have to have the whole class. We may have a few students, 1 or 2 students in the inner cities and rural areas. There will be some students who are interested in chemistry. That's my contention. And ask them, tell them, can you come in and do a chemistry at AMSL? It's all online. Just putting things online doesn't always work. You need some mentor, somebody to guide them, somebody to encourage them. I've tried just putting these things online and having students enroll. They invariably procrastinate, and by the end of the semester, they've given up. You can't do that. So we need to collaborate with the high school teachers, with somebody out there who can hold their hand and guide them through this. But all the material that they need is always available to them. And then we can, again, create a new set of experiments, make sure that the lab is a big draw for them. And this is my mission in life, is meet the students, needs of the student. Not, in enzymology, we had this old saying that it was lock and key theory, where you put the key in and you open it up. If the key doesn't fit, the door doesn't open for you. We got to change that. We got to have the new theory is induced fit. Go and hug them and bring them in, and then try to mentor them. And that's my mission in life. So that's the direction where I would like to go. And all these innovations, we need some investment in these things. And what we would like is a lab coordinator. We're building these incredible labs. We need to create some attractive lab experience for our new recruits. So we need to have a coordinator who can do this. And then we're going to have unorthodox students. I mean, for example, some high school students may not be able to come here every day. So we may have to set up experiments on the weekends and summertime. So a lab coordinator is probably the most essential requirement in this. And again, lab coordinator will have coordinate TAs and experiments for our students so that I have more time to go out there and preach my gospel of chemistry. And then the second thing we need is additional TAs. So if we bring in more new students, we have to have more TAs. Remember, these students, these are not high academically achieving students. They have questionable background. We can't just bring them in here and say, okay, now you're on your own, go and do it. That's not going to work. We have to have TAs. It's going to be a TA intense program. So my suggestion is 20 new students per semester or 40 per year. We need to have an additional TA. So adequate in-person help is necessary if you're going to succeed in this program. And then finally, this is my final slide, classroom of the futures. Here I was trying to combine two things, right? Classroom of the future and the futures here. So these are classrooms. We're actually doing this right now. I mean, this is our stack. This is Benton Hall, outside in the corridor. Students sit there with their laptops and discuss things and study chemistry. And this is my classroom. This is another classroom in Benton Hall. This is where I do my 1081 teaching, mentoring. Here's a TA call, try to show them a few things. And hopefully in the future, Allan who wrote this book called Future Shock in the Third Wave, he predicted that in the future, this was in the 70s, he had predicted that, and I see all these things coming true. Students will just sit around the lake and happy places and study chemistry and do the kind of thing that they need to do. So that's going to be our future. So that's my presentation. I hope I didn't take too much time.